Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Um, so I'm really excited about this panel session. But as people enter the Zoom, um, drop in the chat on a scale of 1 to 5. Where are you in terms of your comfort level with AI, and not just like using AI, but building with AI? So, five being the most comfortable, one being haven't even started. So, 1 to 5. Drop in the chat, and also share where you are joining us from. And while you do that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Ha, and I've been in Silicon Valley tech for 25 years, the first 16 years as a product leader, product exec, and then I moved into a bunch of different other roles after that. About 6 months ago, I was starting to feel like my knowledge of AI, or I was falling way behind in terms of my knowledge of AI. And around the same time, my friend Kasim, who I have been friends with for 5 years, he's a serial entrepreneur, was sharing with me that he was starting this AI boot camp. And I was like, Kasim, sign me up. I feel like I need to get more hands-on with AI. I convinced my business partner Garrett, who's going to be on this panel, to like build with me. And then I got a bunch of my product friends like Cassie and Katrina to join the first boot camp with me. We've all built something in 3 weeks and shipped it and blown away from the experience. And I know then Cassie got Gal into the next boot camp. Um, Danny joined the following boot camp. I know Katrina sent a bunch of folks because we were all just blown away about like what we could accomplish in 3 weeks with AI. So this panel is super fun for me. I'm going to moderate it, but it is asking my friends about their experience with the boot camp. So I think Hassan, why don't you go ahead and spotlight our panel participants? So it's Danny, Cassie, Gal, Katrina, Garrett, and myself. And we will go ahead and get started with the panel discussion. So I'll just give Hassan like 30 seconds here. Okay, is everybody spotlighted? Yay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the first question for all of you is just, first of all, introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you built, over the last few months with AI, and why did you decide to build it? What was the motivation, either to build with AI or to take the boot camp or launch your dream product? So we're gonna start with, I think, Danny. We'll go Danny, Cassie, Garrett, Katrina, and Gal. So in that order. So Danny.
Awesome. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. Hi everyone, my name's Danny Beck. So the product that I built is called Pastel AI. You can check it out. I'll drop a link in the chat. It's at tellpastel.ai. So what Pastel does is it enables people to turn their favorite family stories into digital picture books for kids. And the reason that I built this was actually sort of a fewfold. There's a personal story aspect of this, which is my grandparents passed away when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And while I remember them telling me a lot of stories when I was a kid, I don't remember any of them. And now I have my own kids, and I see my parents and my wife's parents telling my kids stories all the time. And if any of you have kids, you know that they want to hear the stories over and over again. So I thought it would be fun to enable my parents and my wife's parents and me to really memorialize these stories in a way that my kids would enjoy. And now they can use Pastel, and we can dictate stories to Pastel, and it helps us using AI create these like really robust immersive reading experiences in digital picture books. So that's a little bit about me. That's what I've created.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm next. And I can't wait to test Danny's product with my mother-in-law. She just had her 91st birthday last month, so we got to get all those stories, and really excited. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Cassie, 20-year product person, 4 times VP of product at early stage startups, scaling to scale ups. So I built a lot of product, a lot of 0 to 1, and then scale and growth. Uh, and then I've been doing fractional and interim work for the last couple of years and realized this year, I think I was like this about AI, like 2 years ago. And that was just, I'm all about strategy and all this stuff, right? And then I was like, oh, dang it. I can't be a product leader if I'm not in the deep end, like really understanding this stuff. And so I just had this moment where I wanted to like pull the wool off my eyes and just jump in the deep end. And so that was serendipitous. It's exactly when I heard from Ha and Kasim. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I just jumped in. I was like, yeah, I think I can. Last time I coded was in 1999 and it was VBA in Excel. So just to give you all a sense of like how, yeah, that's my coding experience, though I've worked alongside engineers. So I ended up building a REIT.coach, for which I'm now raising a pre-seed, and I'm very excited about that. I've been talking to coaches. I have wait lists set up. I'm targeting dog fooding in December and then actually testing with real coaches in January. Now, I'm doing that because, I've been an executive with a leadership coach. I've been a product leadership coach. I've been an operator. And then, of course, I've actually worked at doing strategy at one of the largest coaching platform companies and just saw this opportunity. And I was like, oh, great. Well, I'll play with that in the AI in the boot camp. And I have to say, what it's been like for me is just amazing. This like putting clay on a wheel and then really manipulating it to figure out what the product is. It's just been a completely different experience as a product person who's used to this very structured approach of market requirements, and building out through the full like software development lifecycle. And so it's been really fascinating, very empowering. And yeah, I'll pass the baton to who was next.
I think me.
Yeah, Gary.
Garrett.
Everybody, I'm Garrett. I too am a fractional consultant, primarily specializing in strategy and operations, and I was invited by Ha to join Kasim's first and the SnapDev team's first ever cohort. Um, I worked early Airbnb and was there 7 years from when no one had heard of it, including me when I applied to when it became a public company. So learned a ton about strategy and operations and complexity through that. Um, and in my current role now, I help people bring clarity through that complexity through strategy and operations and aligning people around those outcomes to bring that strategy to life as efficiently as possible. And in this world, I realized very quickly, similar to what Cassie said, the proverbial AI writing on the wall of how the world was going to change when it comes to thought work and the work I was doing. And I realized I could be 10 times more impactful and effective for my clients if I was leveraging AI well. But in doing so, I recognized the secondary kind of realization I had was the consequences on society in my mind of intellectual atrophy by outsourcing our thinking to AI too much. One of my clients is in the college admissions space, and so we've even seen over the last 2 years essay submissions decrease in quality over those 2 years. So kids and people are becoming worse at communicating and writing. And my concern and why I built my project, which is Noodle.ai, Nuudle, thinking of noodling like thinking, is to try to combat intellectual atrophy. And so I'm trying to do it. And part of my experience as a consultant and using these LLMs was it just validates you and tells you you're right and you're great. And whatever the thing you asked it, and if you just run with that, it's usually actually pretty bad. And so how to prompt the LLM to be more first principles, more root cause analysis. And in that, I realized there's a module here that I could create through Noodle where I could help people figure out how to prompt the AI that I've integrated in to be more first principles. So what's a healthy quality thought process to get to what's the root of what problem of you're experiencing. Based on that root, what are actions that you could take that would actually address the problem? So mine is a session wizard that kind of takes people through that thought process, leveraging AI along the way to help, but not using AI to give answers. It's meant to be a little difficult to teach people how to think while guiding them to the right thing so they actually get something useful. And then I have other modules that'll be like daily riddles, daily missions to solve that are more like mental fitness exercises to have fun while staying sharp and combating intellectual atrophy. So I had no engineering experience. I have worked with product teams, but never even been a PM. And I somewhat famously went through the cohort without using a single engineering hour because I was stubborn that way and just was like having so much fun learning and doing these things. And every time I ran into a problem, I'd be like, I will find out the solution and I will fix you. So I kind of just approached it that way and I had a ton of fun doing it. So maybe wasted a little bit of time doing it that way. I wouldn't necessarily advise that, but I had a lot of fun and had no idea I would have that much fun doing it. So I will now
Awesome.
pass the baton.
Yeah, thanks. And then actually, uh, everybody drop the link to your products in the chat, in case folks want to check out what you built. So, Katrina, hi.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Katrina Patton Helling from Chicago. I'm product manager for the last 10 years, mostly early stage startups in the spaces of GovTech, EdTech, HR, and FinTech. And what I built in this, and what I'm doing now is more fractional PM work, especially helping more mission-driven companies with their building out their product experience. With the AI, what I end up building is an app called GradUp, where I'm connecting youth to meaningful career pathways. And the way that I got started with this is just more so my own personal experience of navigating my career when I was growing up. I participated in a lot of youth programs. And the youth programs that I participated in, it was like gamified. If we like not only do different essays around the places that we did internships on, and we opened up a bank account and did all these fun things. We won money at the end, and guess who was your number one person who won over $2,000, right? So after that, I just thought it was really fun when it comes to career related things. And then also, I'm an aunt of like 10, and I have nieces and nephews, all different levels that were coming up behind me. Some wanted to go to college, and some just say, hey, I want to go to work or get a trade. And so they came to me asking me, like, how do they navigate that? So I'm the one who like got dug deeply in trying to find them different opportunities. And so with that space, either helping them with the resume building and writing, helping them with interviewing, just in general, like career coaching them. So that's exactly why I ended up building GradUp. And the reason why I end up leveraging AI is because this has been on my heart for a long time, wanting to build this product. And I was, talking to different friends around, like building it, had a designer, had an engineer, and they were volunteering, willing to help me, and had a PRD ready to go. But then when you get into the intricacies, like we always had a lot of like false starts, or it's like, oh, I need you to tell me what your database is going to look like. I'm like, what? So when I learned about AI and just being able to be willing to like jump right into that, and being able to like visually see, the direction, and after just doing that, it just like really took off for me. And with that, and seeing Cosm's message around like doing more of a boot camp style, I was like, let's go. So that's what made me end up building my product.
Awesome. Thank you, Katrina.
Yes.
And last but not least, Gal. Well, first of all, congratulations on just completing your first Ironman competition.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
yay. But yeah, share a little bit about yourself and what did you build and why?
Yeah, so thank you first of all. My name is Gal, Gal Golfer, and I built Strive. It's on getstrive.com. You can find it there. It's a mentorship platform that basically lets the people that you admire most become your personal mentors through direct and personal feedback, right? Pretty simple. There's so many brilliant people out there in the world that have huge level of talent, but at the end of the day, it's very hard to reach them. And, especially in this day and age of social media and AI and everything, you can learn everything everywhere. But at the end of the day, I think from my personal experience, what drives us most is that person that makes you feel seen, right? People that that are absolutely amazing, and the ability to actually connect with them and learn from them, not just content, but that personal outreach that tells you, hey, maybe you should change this a little bit. Maybe you should do this. And it puts a fire in you that makes you go, right? So Strive is built very simply, actually very similar to this boot camp on go do, and then come back and demo, and then get feedback from the people that you actually admire. It's a very cool idea, but more importantly, thanks to the amazing Cassie Campbell here, which I've worked with earlier this year. on getting started and doing discovery and learning. I'm completely non-technical, no tech industry experience before. We've gone through interviews with mentors and with learners, and we kind of understood not only what they're looking for, but we validated a lot of, the things that Strive could bring for them. And then we got feedback back and forth. And the cool thing was I built an initial prototype with AI in Bolt, and the feedback was amazing. I was like, hey, this is 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, maybe change this, maybe that, but can we use it already? And I'm like, no, it's only a prototype. Like, you can't. And after some travel and some work and getting an assessment on how much it would cost to build, Cassie told me, hey, there's this really cool boot camp. Maybe you should try building on your own. It was that simple and clear that might as well learn the skill, not just to build it, but also to learn how to work with it later in the future to iterate. So from there started the journey. Strive is now real. Actually have live users that are providing feedback as we go. And the feedback so far is absolutely amazing. So built it out very, very quickly, and happy to say that I'm now here actually allowing mentors to teach at scale and allowing people to reach the people that they admire to learn from them directly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. First of all, what I love about each of your stories is that you were building your dream product. So something that had been marinating in your head for a while, either just in your brain or even in prototype form, but never figured out how to get it built without hiring a huge engineering team until AI came along. So fantastic, and congratulations to all of you. Now I'm gonna just, I have a bunch of questions, but I'm gonna just have a couple of panelists answer each of the questions. The first one that I have is, what was unexpected or surprising about building with AI? So, either whether it was easy or challenging, what surprised you the most? So, Katrina, why don't you kick us off?
Yes, I love to. I think the most surprising thing was for me is exactly what you said around most often the process has been when you wanted to build something, you have to talk to, you're trying to talk to a design or engineering agency to try to help you build something, and it takes some time. That PRD that I worked on, that I was telling you before, that I was working with my friends, designer, engineer, and trying to get all of that fleshed out. I ended up just taking it and putting it right into SnapDev, the tool that we're using, and to see that it like spit out exactly a dashboard and the elements that I was going for, I was just like really impressed of like how fast it happened so instantly. Beyond that, the other thing that really surprised me of working with AI is I was a little nervous around working with a lot of the APIs because I consider myself non-technical as well. And I really loved how AI helped you to navigate how to leverage and use the different APIs. For my app, I'm leveraging a lot of APIs from like the Department of Labor to help me to do the different pieces with come to discovery, and also helping show the training providers to the youth. And so I really liked how AI helped me to walk through that and just telling me step by step, add your credentials, add this information. And, while it's doing that, it's like updating the UI, which was like really helpful. So it happened instantaneously. And within like an hour or so, I had like an idea, right, of an app and the vision coming to life, which I was really surprised by that.
Awesome. Thank you. And Gal, what surprised you most about building with AI, especially being
Um,
a non-technical person, not even really a previous PM, right? So,
Yeah, so I'll actually start with the easy, which is crazy to think because I am non-technical. But building complex features and thoroughly testing them, debugging on the fly for live users. For example, I have rich media that's built into the app, like a full chat with advanced features. It's kind of like WhatsApp for whoever knows it. Things like smart send buttons and things that personally I didn't even think would be on the sprints, and I actually built them within sometimes hours, right? Things like invite tokens, which when I got to my first users and told them about this, they're like, wait, that's already existing? And the cool thing is it was actually easy once I understood how to build with it. I think I even just got a notification from someone in the Zoom right now that already completed a goal on the experience. And this is all just thanks to like building those features and then testing them and then, getting that feedback and doing it again. On the challenging side, when you trust that AI understands what you think, you usually would get a different outcome that you didn't expect. And at that point, like you have to be on top of it. Like my PRD, made the AI think that the learners are setting their own goals. And all of a sudden, if you don't kind of catch it, understand how to reiterate and make sure that it understands you, you're going to get a very different outcome from what you expected. So, slowing down, like Cassie always says, triple checking what's been done. You effectively have the fastest building pace tool we've ever had to this day. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it only takes a computer, patience, and a little bit of relentlessness to keep going and kind of understand what you're doing.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So the takeaways I got from both you and Cassie is like you really could build anything with AI, and some incredibly complex integrations are actually pretty easy if you figure out how to work with it. But the challenge I think could also be that like don't always trust the AI, and make sure that it's actually building what you intended it to build because it can kind of go off in its own sort of direction if you don't control the experience of it. I'm going to shift to the product leaders in this call. So Cassie and Danny. So how did building with AI change the way that you both thought about product development? So you've been longtime PMs, 15 plus years each. Yeah, what's new and different for you now in this world of AI? So
Yeah, I guess I'm happy to jump in, and then Cassie, want to hear your thoughts as well. So for context, I've been a product leader for a long time, and I've worked at everything from e-commerce companies to building autonomous vehicles, and not a lot, almost all my experience is going 0 to 1. So for me, like my perspective is today building software is really fast and really cheap. So figuring out what to build that's valuable and delightful for customers is actually more important than ever. I know there are a lot of people out there that say like PRDs are dead and you just need to use vibe coding tools and that's it. And I actually completely disagree. For me, building 0 to 1 at least, right? Me building Pastel into a company here, the process is the same. The process is the same. But how I approach it is really, really different. So instead of having a high level idea and then iterating on it with designers and engineers until it's ready to build, I spend a lot of time thinking about kind of the holistic experience I want my users to have. Why? Because I've found that if I give a vibe coding AI tool, I've tried a whole bunch of them, if I try and give them something too vague, it either one, totally misses the mark, or two, it does tons of sprawl that's both wasteful and time consuming and distracting. So my process, right? Like, so how I think about it hasn't changed, but my process is definitely very different. I spend a lot of time dictating ideas to AI. I use ChatGPT as my sounding board for business strategy and for product strategy and for user experience ideas, for technical feasibility. And then I'll iterate on a PRD using SnapDev, taking a whole bunch of my conversations from ChatGPT, putting them into SnapDev, iterate on a PRD that gets really, really detailed in terms of what I want to build and how I want the user experience to come together. And then I use one of the architecture or strategist agents in SnapDev to go really deep on an architecture and a development plan that breaks down what I want to build into the how and does so in really, really manageable chunks that are, at least like what I have found, are manageable for a person and a vibe coding tool to tackle together. So that's kind of the process that I've changed, right? And then I'll go and build a front end and get it in front of people and iterate on the UX and update the PRD and update the back end plan and everything like that, and then actually get in and start building. So my thinking is sort of slightly different, but the process is actually is quite different too.
thank you, Danny.
I love that. I love that, Danny. And my joke is, oh, now somebody's actually going to read the PRDs we write.
Absolutely. That
So for
somebody is
adding
just
more
AI.
products.
Great.
like, oh, it makes sense to keep it up to date now because the AI can reference it for context. And it's just that's like a whole new world. Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping PRDs up to date. That being said, I would say I'm really liking this. It's kind of growing inside my brain right now, but just this idea of it being clay on the wheel, because I'm on the 4th version of my app that I started from scratch. Now, I did a bunch of those iterations during the boot camp, but also in reaction to customer discovery. So there's something different today about being a product person that's getting creative, right? Understanding the problems and then thinking through the solutions. That's not just derivative, like pure AI, but you're trying to add in your human ingenuity and how you might be able to like solve the problem uniquely and in differentiated ways and in interesting ways with some soul, right? So I feel like there's something about like when I think about PM product management with AI now, that there's something about that rapid iteration that you can do that gives more creative like aperture to figuring it out and seeing it and then being like the very first time I launched the app, I remember a demo day and everybody's like, this UX is so good. And I was like, it's not. It's like not creating the emotional reaction that I want to have, right? And then figuring that piece out of it, right? Or when I showed my first coach that I ever had my app, and I was like, and then I think I'm going to add in this and this and this, and she goes, Cassie, that's commoditized software. Like, don't do that. Focus on the unique thing that you're thinking about here, and this is what's unique and why, right? So, being able to like iterate really quickly, but still do all those other important producty things, which is customer discovery and strategy and differentiation. AI just makes it all faster in a way. My main perspective on this now is that like, restaurants, my analogy is like everybody, people who can cook are like, oh, I want to open a restaurant, right? But restaurants, it's not just about being able to cook something that people want to eat. It's also like the business, the location, the all this other stuff that goes into building a business. I think that piece is what's really interesting to think about now, because if you go through the boot camp, you'll realize that an experience, that software development ultimately is actually really being commoditized, right? Like it's that like the build is easy, but building the right thing is still hard. And understanding how to do the product strategy and discovery. And like, I love what Gal said, right? He was like, he had a really big idea about vision and changing the world. And we worked to hone it down to like a very specific idea with a specific ICP, and then interviewed a bunch of those people and then built a prototype and showed them the prototypes that, that whole process now can shrink down to this amazingly short period of time. And so I think it's really important if you're in product to like get your hands dirty vibe coding so that you at least understand what that pace potential is. And it's not necessarily that means you're going to be a coder or, that's the most important thing, but to do the coding and all of the other stuff that goes into building a good business, that's an amazing experience to have. And if you can, dedicate your time in immersing yourself in this boot camp.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Cassie and Danny. What I love about what you said is that the role of the PM is not going away, even in this new world. Just everything gets accelerated, but just the fundamentals are still there. It's like, what problem are you trying to solve for what customer, and do we have the right solution? Let's do some customer discovery. Okay, I'm going to shift gears. My next question goes to Garrett and maybe Cassie as well. So you building with AI can be frustrating at times. I mean, I know how much I wanted to like throw my laptop out the window many times during the boot camp. What was your biggest facepalm moment while building? So share a story, Garrett. What was yours?
Yeah, I think what I mentioned earlier, growing up in Airbnb a lot, is it's such a design-focused business, everything filtered through design. And so I was very design oriented when I was building mine. And I was incredibly impressed first getting on these tools and using AI to no code build and what it could do in a very complex functional environment. And then when I tried to move a single X, like a centimeter to the right to be centered correctly on the top right corner of something, so it just looked cohesive, took me like 2 hours one night. And I was like, what? And I had to learn I need to know what a div container is versus like all these different categories and definitions of these design elements of the UX in order to articulate clearly exactly what I wanted from like a back end perspective. I was communicating with like a non-technical person that I am, move the X to the top right corner of this thing and I take a screenshot, but it would try to do the surface level thing, but it wasn't recognizing the different overlapping rules of CSS versus HTML, whatever else I was using to do it, so it wasn't recognizing it. And so I had to figure out how to prompt it correctly for design in a very different way than I could for functional things. So um, it is not very good at design. Y- Unless you're a designer and an engineer who know these terms and know this stuff really well, you'll probably say it's fine at design. But for me, I couldn't believe how hard it was to move that X. That
Thank
was
you.
my big aha, face palm, want to throw my computer out the window moment.
I'll share mine real quick. It's that, it's kind of seductive the first time you put a PRD in there and you're like, oh, wow, look at this amazing UX that it builds. And, it can be derivative, like Garrett was saying, it's not always, it's glossy. It's got the nice rounded corners. The alignment works. It is like this good UX, like from a template perspective. And then it just feels like, oh, this is magical. So I felt like Homer Simpson, and I know Danny did an amazing job with build and public posts. So if any of you want to experience more of a narrative journey, like go check Danny Beck's LinkedIn and his posts history, because he did a full build in public on LinkedIn with his boot camp. But I remember reposting one of his posts and I was like, I feel like Homer Simpson in the nuclear factory, where he's just like hitting yes all the time to the AI, right? Like, yes, build that, yes, race through. We're going to get through all 8 sprints tonight. And I just remember just hitting yes and then looking at the output, and it was garbage. It was so bad. And that was actually one of my restarts I had to do. Like, oh, I guess I can't do that anymore. Like, that was just definitely being a little intellectually lazy, but I was just seduced by how it worked the first couple of sprints. So my facepalm moment was like, oh, restart. And then realizing, okay, I have to actually read all the things that it's doing and try to understand it. And in doing that, you realize that it's not necessarily that you have to be super technical, but that you just have to have some understanding of like critical thinking and structured thinking, really. And see, oh, and then pattern match. You just like start to pattern match stuff. Like, oh, the AI is always just trying to find the shortest, fastest point from A to B. But I actually need to tell it, I want you to not take shortcuts and build this in a way that's going to be sustainable. And here's like 3 use cases down the road that I might be thinking about building. And I want to make sure that we've got a good platform and foundation for that, for example. So just the slowing it down, like Gal said as well, and then learning, because it's not just about like adding something on and hitting yes all the time. You actually are learning. Even if you're not writing the syntax of the code, you're deepening your understanding of how it works so that you can put the Lego blocks together.
So relatable. I think the first 2 weeks as I was building, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I just kept hitting like proceed while running, just keep going. And then one of the engineers was like, you actually probably should read what the AI is doing, because you may not want it to do that. And I was like, oh, whoops. So yeah, I totally relate. Okay. Next question. I'm going to ask Katrina and Gal. What would you do differently next time? So everything that you kind of learned about building with AI, what didn't work, what would you do differently?
Yeah, great question. For me, I think what Cassie was just sharing, right, around how there's the snafus that happen, especially if you're not being intentional about, that's what I would do differently. So my product is built very modular. So after the career discovery module that I built, right, I did a sprint by sprint, took my time, feature by feature, and it came out beautifully and it worked just like how I wanted to. And then I got a little cocky, right? I was like, oh, I got this down pack. I could just, put my resume builder PRD or the features right into it. And I just like put too much, like too many prompts, too many features, and threw it in the AI. And next thing it's the UI was built completely different. It wasn't following any of the existing UI patterns from the career discovery, and everything just looked at the user experience just looked at very disjointed. And so, with that being said, like just remind me, you have to be intentional. You have to start small, and that sprint by sprint planning is really important. Especially for, making sure the features are really small so that the AI can not only take what the existing UI and patterns and user experience is, and also um, it can now shape the next parts of your product, and so that everything is looks jointed, and the user experience is it's all seamless. And so that's the biggest like learning aha moment for me. And so going forward, I had to slow down because I had to do a lot of untangling and debugging just to get it back to where it was. But luckily, we learned all about GitHub and version control, so I was able to go back to the version before, and so all was not a lost cause. As Cassie said, you could start over. But yeah, that was just like a really yeah, aha moment for me of like making sure that I'm like being thoughtful, intentional.
Well, Garrett taught me this phrase from the Navy SEALs: slow is smooth is fast, right? So
To be
thank
clear,
you.
I'm not a Navy SEAL, but took that from him. I know I
All
might
right,
look like one, but I'm not.
Gal, what was your like biggest learning? What would you do next time that's different?
I actually use that. I use that sentence all the time. It's because it's so true and it applies to so much of what we do. So kind of similar to Katrina, and I feel like this is kind of something that we all feel is like we've been through similar trajectories, right? But 100% I would deconstruct more, and I mean 100 times, 100x more every single time. So like I'll give you some context, but like Cassie said, hi, you said it. It's like we give it the PRD, and it's like magic, right? Like boom, this is ready, this is ready. Kasim, I remember, told us on day one, it's like, yeah, we have the weekend to build, and I finished PRD on day one. And that gets you a little motivated, right? Like you're like, okay, I got this, right? Now you're like, you're pressing the nuclear button, like Cassie said, and you're like, great, something's happening, right? And then I finished UX day 3. And then I finished user creation and separation on day 5. So it's almost like I've seen a meme once about Tesla, like full self-driving mode. On day 1, you're like this, but like after 2 weeks, you're like sleeping, and you're like, yeah, I got it, right? And this is what happened to me with AI. Like I got so excited of like, okay, we got this. Like I was sleeping and having my legs on the buttons, just pressing, like this is fine. We'll get it done. But really what happened is once you get to the bigger chunks, right? Like the big projects, the more complex stuff, you just can't handle it with like, I'll throw it in and that's it. I had something that took me 3 days to build, only to realize that I'm not running forward. I'm pretty much in reverse. So it took about 3 extra days to recover from that and kind of cover it back and fix it, which is fine, right? This is what Garrett said. You have to learn how to do that. It's a skill that you learn and earn, if you will, because you have to be stubborn enough to kind of fix what you've done and understand how to build it properly. So 100% deconstruct, work in smaller chunks, make sure that I reiterate exactly what it is that I'm looking for, test it while it's happening, and then triple check it was done properly, and kind of be present during that whole process. My best advice on that, maybe because I just, did racing and all, but it's like you can't get to the finish line with broken legs because there's always a next sprint, right? And if you don't prepare yourself for what's next, if you just run and break shit, sorry, then at the end of the day, all you're gonna have is just like, okay, I finished this part, but I can't keep going, right? So just little by little.
Well, first of all, I didn't I never heard the learn and earn. I'm going to add that one to my my regular daily repertoire use. Garrett dropping gems all the time. So I'm going to turn the next question over to you, Garrett, and anybody else who might want to also add their thoughts. So what did building with AI teach you about yourself?
I I'm not a huge fan of screens. Like I do it because it's the world we live in and I've been in tech. And so like my idea of creative outlet is pottery or making music or recently for Halloween I got into like building my own costumes. So I turned my garage into like a shop and was like working with foam and all these different things with my hands. So that's always been my idea of like creative outlet and creation. And when I started doing the vibe coding, I realized it's just a different form of creative building and it's a puzzle. And so when I was getting into it, I got like pretty hyper fixated on the puzzling aspect of it to say, so when problem I'd run into a wall or a problem like Gal was just mentioning, to learn and earn, it's what it really felt like for me as well. And it was, okay, I'm running into this thing and I keep not being able to figure it out, but there is a solution here. It's just I'm focusing on the wrong thing. I've already built my corners of the 1,000-piece puzzle. I'm now in this section. I got to look for the pattern and think about the things I've done and what I haven't. And so my mind went into this fun, creative building space, and the problems weren't problems as much anymore, or as frustrating when I was in that headspace. It was more something cool and interesting to figure out. And then once I did, you get that dopamine hit to say like, oh, I figured it out, and then you're on to the next. And so it's sort of this whack-a-mole chipping away, learning and getting better and getting closer to the completing the puzzle with every single obstacle I was overcoming. And I didn't expect that. I thought it would be this like pull my arm, I'm gonna be on my screen, I'm gonna be in this new system, and I'm just gonna be like doing this engineering workflow. And I never wanted to be an engineer for a reason. And it just wasn't that at all. And so that was really surprising, and it turned out to be another fun creative outlet for me that I've really enjoyed doing.
Love that. Danny, what about you?
Sorry, what was the question again? Huh?
Yeah, what did building with AI teach you about
Teach about
yourself?
yourself.
Like, did you learn
Okay.
anything new about yourself?
Yeah. I think for me, I have much more patience and persistence than I realized. So I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier. I've worked at a bunch of really deeply technical product companies, but I have no software engineering experience. Apparently, though, like I'm a decent systems thinker, and working with AI and particularly working with SnapDev has helped me really kind of realize that and hone that. Another thing that is sort of kind of made me realize is it's helped me really further improve the clarity of my communication. Since what I have found is the best output, like when I get really fantastic output from SnapDev, it's because I share the right context and ask very specific questions or give super specific direction. And the more clear I am, the more context I give, the more accurate my direction is. Oh my God, right? I get code with less bugs. I get UI components that look more like what I'm aiming for. I guess one other thing is like it's taught me how frustrating debugging is, right? The maybe like the lasting thought here is I think I need to like print this out and stick it on my computer on like a post-it note. But one of the things that it has sort of taught me and that I try and remember all the time is that my brain has a bigger context window than AI. So when you hear like Cassie or Gal or Katrina or Garrett talking about like you need to pay attention and you're supposed to read it 100% because your brain has a lot bigger of a context window than the AI does, right? Because you've written the PRD, you've done the research, you've talked to the customers, you know about the entirety of your application. You have all of that kind of context of where you want this thing to go and how you want people to feel when they're using what you're building. And AI just does not have that, even though Gemini has a million token context window, right? It just isn't there and it doesn't connect the dots all the time in the right way. So
I love that. Communication, being a teacher, and actually, we're still smarter than the AI.
yes.
Okay, my last question, I'm going to throw it out to all of you, but you have 30 seconds or less to answer. So the first question that I threw out this morning to the group is, on a scale of 1 to 5, like how well versed are you in AI? And 5 being the best. And I saw a lot of 1s and 2s. So I think we have a lot of folks who are joining us who might still be new to building with AI. So, or who might not be technical, who might feel like it's too intimidating. So 30 seconds or less, each one of you, what would you share with everybody? And what's one small action they could take today to start building? Let's go. Cassie, Gal, Garrett, Katrina, and Danny.
Okay. The main thing, if you're not super technical, is just know coding, the top language now for coding is English. So I think I mean, it's all these other languages too, but if you're on this call listening, you probably speak English and type in English. So that's the coding language. Boom. Like,
Boom, I
okay,
love
then
that.
there's just more stuff to figure out. And one thing you can do right now is to fall in love with a problem to solve. So just go look in your daily life and figure something out. And it doesn't have to be like this perfectly fully formed idea that you think is going to become an amazing, huge business. Just like fall in love with the problem, and then you can figure out the solution.
Wise words, Cassie. Love that. Fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Gal.
Love it. First of all, everything Cassie says, I'm always like, yes, this is from day one, same thing. But here's the cool thing. If you notice, I love the macro. Like we're 6 people on a spotlight, but all of us are like yesing the same things, all the time, right? We've all been through it. All of us started at 1, I believe, out of the 1 through 5, right? And all of us now feel
Well, Danny
confident,
might have been a 2.
comfortable.
Danny might have been a 2.
Danny might have been a 2. You're
yeah.
right. But at the end of the day, like all of us got to this moment where we're like, we feel 4, we feel 5, maybe in between, doesn't matter. But like we have the confidence now with a tool that's literally the future. For me, all it takes is literally getting started and a computer. If that's what you can do to start and you can get to a point where you feel comfortable with one of the most important tools of the future and learn that as a skill, I mean, for me, that's the best reason to just start.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's hard to go third. I feel bad for you, Danny, because we're probably going to take anything that you would have said. But I'm in a position already to say yes, and to Cassie and Gal, especially the fall in love with the problem to solve, because I had something that I was very passionate about and very curious about. It made it so much fun trying to figure out a way to create something visual that people could interact with that would address that problem. And it made the experience way more enjoyable. If you're just building to build to learn a skill, maybe you're someone who gets really motivated by just learning in and of itself. But if you could combine learning with passion and interest, it's so much fun. I think the other thing I'll try to add here, see how well I do, is beginning can be the hardest part, and we can create these narratives or labels of ourselves of what we are and what we aren't, or what we can or what we can't do. You're not anything until you are, and the gap between is time on task and effort. So if you're here because you're curious enough about something you don't know how to do, but you want to, and so that drive and lean into that curiosity and learn something, I guarantee you won't regret doing it. So don't let not knowing something stop you from knowing something. Just try it.
I love that. Yeah.
Man, so I
Embrace
hope
being a
someone's keeping
beginner and
track of-
and have a learner's mindset. Okay, Katrina and then Danny.
I hope someone's keeping track of all these like phrases that we're coming up with in this.
I know, exactly.
Go ahead, Katrina.
Yeah, no, I think what has already been said has been awesome. Very similar to just like writing your school paper, right, back in the day. So creating your outline, and from there, that's how you know that you'll have, the drafts and everything. It'll come into a beautiful essay. So go in there. I just, recommend go in there, break things. You have an idea, do that back of the napkin sketch, just overall, right? Again, knowing what problem you want to solve, and then putting it right in the AI, and you'll just see what happens from there, and then you could constantly iterate. So just do that and go have fun. There's no one grading you, right? So have
Awesome.
fun.
Just do
Yeah.
it. Just do it. Awesome.
Just do it.
Danny.
All right, I love all this. Okay, here's what I'd say. Building a real product with AI is not easy. I hope you've gotten the sense of that from what we've shared with you, but it's possible for anyone to do for the first time ever. All that you need is determination, desire, and a willingness to try. If you're not technical, that's okay. Now there are products like SnapDev, which Kasim will talk about in a moment, that give you the tools and the real human support that you need to get started. For me, like I'm a big skier, so I like using snow-related analogies. Like once the snowball gets rolling down the hill, I'm gonna guess that like me, you'll have a really hard time stopping it. So the one thing that you can do today to get started is to listen to what Kasim's about to tell you and go sign up for the next bootcamp for SnapDev. I promise you, it will be so far beyond worth it.
All right. Well, thank you, Danny. Okay, so with that, actually, I am gonna invite Kasim to join us. So let me see if I can spotlight him. How do let's see, did this work? No. Remove all spotlighted
I
video.
could do that.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so Kasim is, I think, the mastermind of these boot camps, and he also has a platform. I promised him 5 minutes that he can share a little bit more, but I think his mission is to actually create a million entrepreneurs in the world who can go out and not just build their products, but also commercialize it and make all of us a ton of money. So Kasim, welcome. And you have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Ha, and love all the love that we're getting. It's been super exciting. All of this came together with me just messaging Ha, like, I want to run this boot camp. And now 3 months later, we have 60, 70 plus people. We have almost 90% ship rate. It's incredible. And it's, I think one thing that we didn't talk about as much is it's the community. I think once you're part of these boot camps, the community is there to like support you all all through the end. So super exciting. I'm gonna just quickly share screen so that I can walk through the bootcamp and the structure, and then maybe leave 5 minutes for question answers if possible. Awesome. So what is SnapCamp? So it's a 3-week boot camp. We basically, you come in with an idea and you leave with a product. Our KPI is not to build a prototype, but to build something that's actually functional. And the way we do this is not just by enabling you to write code with AI, which I think a million other tools are doing as well, but actually pairing you with the community and with the one-on-one engineering support. So whenever you get stuck, you have engineers during this bootcamp that will hop on a call with you and basically expedite your entire learning journey. We have people like Garrett that ended up not using any engineering hours as well. But if you're stuck in some gnarly issue bug and you don't know what to do, that's when the engineers can hop on a call and help you out. We have the last couple of cohorts missing here, but happy to report like even the last net promoter score is right now at 87 or something. So the NPS is through the roof. People love building, especially when you unlock this capability of building anything that you want, this passion project that you've been thinking about. It really people put in the time and the effort to do it. So super excited about the results. This is the first time we're doing it on Maven. Before this, we used to do these outside Maven. And the structure is very simple. So we have a daily ritual of just meeting at 8 a.m. Pacific time every single day, talking about our problems, where we're stuck. The first few sessions are teaching you the tools that you need, but after that, it's community sessions, it's pod sessions where you gather in different pods and talk to your peers where they're at, give them feedback, they give you feedback. So it's a we're very big on community, and thanks to how we've embraced her community um ethos that she has. So very big on community. After the bootcamp, you still stay part of the community, and it's funny that right now across all our bootcamps so far we have more people wanting to be mentors than signups in this cohort, because we just launched the cohort, and like so many people from past bootcamp members want to be mentors in this cohort so that they can give back to the community that has been helping and supporting them. So tools we use are our own. So we have our own AI coding assistant, but we're not really in the business of like building an AI coding assistant because we use one of the most popular open source AI coding assistants. It's more about how do we pair those coding assistants with actual engineering help so that and our own agents to basically take you from idea and then walk you through every step of the way on how to ship a live product. So you come up with the idea, you build your UI front, you build your PRD, you build your UI front end, and then you build your back end. So that's pretty much how it works. The next bootcamp, I know I have 5 minutes and I wanted to leave 5 for questions, but the next bootcamp starts November 13th. I'm going to share a Maven link at the bottom. We do have a discount going for people that join this week. So it's early 500 and you can get $500 off. Just for context, this isn't a typical bootcamp with one person presenting and a 200 people community 200 people as participants. We actually have more people supporting one-on-one because we have almost 30 support engineers, we have mentors, we have facilitators, instructors, all working together to make sure you are able to ship your product. So a lot of support is available, including past bootcamp members as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do. So these also come with $400 in LLM credits, which you are going to use writing the code. And we typically see people use between 300 to 400 and over 10 hours of live sessions. So I will stop there because I'm sure someone might have some questions about it. So would love to hear
Yeah,
if someone
and we're approaching the hour, so if anybody needs to drop, feel free to drop, but I think we'll stay on for another 10, 15 minutes. Kasim, do you have a hard
Yes.
stop or you get
How long
okay?
is the boot camp? How many days? Or just
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yes, starts November 13th, and this 3 weeks includes the 3-day off for Thanksgiving. So it's actually 2.5 weeks, but we extended it to 3 weeks because there's Thanksgiving coming.
Let's go ahead and Hassan, let's unspotlight Kasim just so that we can all kind of see everybody on the screen, and our panelists can also answer any questions that might
Yeah,
arise.
you need to make me the co-host again.
Oh, okay. Did I? Oh, sorry. Haha. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, um, other questions that you might have either
One
for
more question.
Kasim or
What vibe coding tool do we use? Is there a preference? Or if you're comfortable with one, do we use that? Do you provide your own? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we provide our own vibe coding tools, which are based off of this platform called Klein, which is open source. It's like one of the most popular, Klein and RuCode. RuCode uses Klein as well. But the reason we do it is because we have built in our own agents that can basically help you through the entire process, which don't exist in others. So taking your idea, building your PRD, and then taking you all the way through, we have our own agents helping you through the process.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? You can speak up or write in the chat. So I have a question from someone who DM'd me. So when is the one after this cohort? So we haven't finalized the dates yet, but it's going to be in January. So if you are on the list, we'll reach out to you when we start the one in January. But the November one starts November 13th.
I think we're running it for the first time on Maven, and I know that Maven does a lot of different things. I mean, they have like certifications, and then they have the ability to get your company to sponsor Maven courses as part of professional development. So that's something to also look into.
Yep.
I would say keep looking at the Maven page if you are looking for a future one and you cannot do this one for scheduling reasons. We'll make sure to post on there. I think I know there's like a Maven thing they do at the end of the year, and so we'll try to have those up so you can book those future ones too. So
Yep. Okay, so we have another question. If there are 2 to 3 integrations needed with external sources, can that be supported? Oh, 100%. So we have our engineers supporting you. So you'll build the integrations yourself. If you get stuck, they'll help you out. The main thing is that like try to do it yourself first, and if it doesn't work, the engineers can support you, and focus on 1 or 2 core features first rather than building tons of integrations, because once you are done with the first version, you can always add on more stuff later on. We've had boot camps where people ended up building 2-3 products by the end of it. Awesome. Any other questions?
If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. So me, Kasim, Garrett, Cassie, Gal, Katrina. You can find us on LinkedIn, and then I think Hassan will probably send a follow-up email as well in terms of how to get in touch. But otherwise, thank you to everybody on the panel for being with us, sharing your lessons, your wisdom with us. Everybody on the call, if you're not already building with AI, we all encourage you to do it, whether it's part of this bootcamp or something else, but just go do it, as Katrina said, and have fun doing it and solve a problem that you're super passionate about, as Garrett says, because it'll keep going when things get frustrating.
that was Cassie. All credit to Cassie.
Cassie. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.